found this deep satisfaction in discussing their deepest fantasies and experiences with regards to child abuse online. Apparently there's a market for this. Well, this makes me ask the question, how can we keep the world of the internet safe for our children? How can we reduce and maybe even eliminate the problem of child exploitation online? Well, that's quite a question to ask. As a psychologist, having worked directly with sex offenders previously and now working for the Dutch National Police Child Exploitation Unit, I can simply tell you this. Unfortunately, we will never be able to eliminate every possible risk out there. However, there are definitely ways of making the world of the internet a safer place for our children. And the criminal justice system is one solution, but if we want to do more, I need the help of all of you. And in the next 15 minutes or so, I will tell you exactly what we can do and why. But first, let's go back to the basics. At one point, a website was under law enforcement investigation on which 1.3 million images were available. And this is only one website. From experience, I can tell you many more websites have been online. So the internet really is a great thing, but it gives us lots of opportunities, but it does have a downside as well. Because every time that offender presses that send or post button, a victim is re-victimized. Every time that picture is multiplied, re-victimization occurs. It's not really surprising then that all law enforcement agencies report massive increases in cases in the last couple of years. Canada is even talking about 233% increase in the last 10 years. So the problem seems to be growing exponentially. And of course, we can partly explain this increase in the ease with which images are multiplied and the expansion of the internet. So we're not talking about absolute numbers of growth in offenders and victims, but still we're having a problem. Well, this may sound really shocking, but it's not really surprising considering that international research repeatedly portrays that 0.5 up to even 3% of our male population has some form of pedophilic interest. I'm talking about our male population here today because that's what most research is conducted on. I'm not saying that females don't have this difficulty at all, it's just few is known about them. But 0.5 up to 3%. Consider the Netherlands. We have 8.5 million men. In total. So this percentage equates with 42,500 up to 255,000 men. That's all inhabitants of a medium-sized city in the Netherlands. To make it even more concrete, I was told that there's about 200 of you in the audience today. Well, looking at you, I think there's slightly more females than males, but let's say that there's 80 males of you here today in the audience. We can all do the maths now, can't we? Statistics indicate that there will be one or two of you who are struggling with some form of pedophilic interest. And what this means is that most probably there will be someone in your environment, someone you know, someone like your neighbor, like your colleague, like your football mate, maybe even your husband or son, who is struggling with these sort of feelings. The only thing is, you don't know about it. And here we get to a notion that I really want to emphasize, because even though these percentages are massive, most of these people know that they have feelings that they should repress. So most of these people don't act out on it. They don't offend. Which is great, isn't it? But the problem is, These people can't talk about their feelings because they know that they will be hated for it. I truly do believe that every person is longing for love at some point in their life. And what if this love that you really wish for will forever be impossible? That must be a really lonely situation to be in. It's like telling me, we know that you love your boyfriend and we don't minimize this love. However, you cannot act out on it, ever. And on top of that, you won't be able to talk about it with anyone. So unfortunately, sometimes it does go wrong. Sometimes people do start offending. And I'm not justifying this. On the contrary, I work for police. I'm just saying that it's a logical thing to happen. So what do we do with this knowledge? Well, I think there will be many of you telling me now, you know what, let's just ban all these people from society. Let's just lock them all up and let's just leave them somewhere far away from our children. And from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand what you're saying. I became an auntie last year for the first time. My little nephew, he just turned 1. Absolutely crazy about the little boy. And we just got back from a family holiday. And we really enjoyed the sun and the beach. The weather was lovely. And I simply cannot imagine the possibility that my little nephew wouldn't be able to walk around in his swimming wear because some adult would be sexually attracted to him. Yes, from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society. However, it doesn't make sense. And that's because we're talking about biology. We're talking about a sexual orientation.
Deny accusations that he had sex with an underage girl, allegedly being kept as a sex slave. That young woman also claims she was forced to have sex with high-profile defense attorney and Miami Beach resident Alan Dershowitz, who also denies those accusations. Local 10 News investigator Bob Norman spoke with Dershowitz today.
She's an admitted prostitute. She's a serial liar.
Attorney Alan Dershowitz today lashed out at his accuser, Virginia Roberts, who swore in a new affidavit that he had sex with her while she was an underage, quote, sex slave of wealthy Palm Beach financier Jeffrey Epstein.
She's lied.
But she wasn't lying about being sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. Is a minor, correct?
That is between her and Jeffrey Epstein.
Roberts, one of dozens of underage girls allegedly recruited by convicted sex offender Epstein, also released new photos, including this one she says was taken by Epstein when she was about 15. In the new affidavit, she claims Dershowitz had sex with her 6 times at Epstein's residences, as well as on his jet and private island, and swore to seeming new details regarding alleged sex with Prince Andrew at Epstein's order when she was 17. The two are photographed here in London.
I can tell you she is still a prostitute. She is selling false stories now for money about me.
Do you have any concern calling her a prostitute when she was victimized at such a young age by this wealthy man?
She was not victimized. She made her own decisions in life.
But at the age of 15, some would say that's a little young and that she was taken advantage of.
I'm talking about the age of 19. Look, that's between her and the federal government and the people that she claims victimized her.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
I never saw a young underage woman.
Yet Epstein's former butler swore under oath that Dershowitz was at Epstein's residences at the same time underage girls were there.
Were there young women in another part of the house giving massages when I wasn't around? I have no idea of that.
Dershowitz did say he once received a massage at Epstein's mansion, but from an adult woman.
I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
Bob Norman, Local 10 News.
Robert's attorneys claim that Dershowitz has ducked a deposition, but Dershowitz told Bob he's willing to submit to one, but only after Roberts goes first.
I do wonder. I wonder why we have these TED Talks. I wonder why we have these people who call pedophilia sexual orientation. Maybe it's convenient. Maybe it's what they do. Maybe they're a closet paedophile. I do know that they shouldn't be in these privileged positions. They are influencing many people. People are going to these TED Talks, sitting and watching and listening to what they say, and they're going to be influenced by what these guys say, ultimately. It's interesting that Mr. Dershowitz was so vocal in his defense when he is the one who writes the, well, for some of you it will be the infamous statutory rape article. You can find that online. Pretty sick. I read it myself. Mr. Dershowitz should be pretty ashamed of himself, but he probably isn't. So yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. This woman, she talks about, you know, paedophiles in the area. If there was someone in my area who I knew was up to this, I wouldn't be saying that, you know, they had an orientation, or, you know, looking out for them and saying it's fine, it's an orientation, it's a sexual orientation, so it's okay, I'll help you with this difficulty, with this orientation, with this mental disorder, I'll help you out, don't worry. No. They're more likely to get murdered by me, to be honest, than my help in the matter. I would definitely report them to the police, because that's what you're supposed to do with paedophiles. That seems to be changing these days. We want to help them more than put them behind bars, but you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I could show you more. I could show you a lot more, but it would take me hours to put this video together. But I could show you a lot more. You know, you have Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein. These guys are very, very privileged men on a lot of money. Okay, they have. Jeffrey Epstein had no shame. Wherever he is now, he probably still has no shame. Dershowitz is a pig for me. I think he probably is guilty. He certainly didn't keep his pants on, as he suggested in this video. It's unreal. It's unreal. That Andrew's guilty. What we have is a ring, a den of very vicious men who ruin young women's lives. Okay, and we are talking about this being an orientation. We need to, facilitate these people and help them as best we can. No, we do not. Okay, the reason that there is so much online and there is so many of these kind of individuals about is because law enforcement is not doing enough. That is why it is such an epidemic. We talk about COVID, but to be quite honest, what I've seen is that is the epidemic, not COVID. That is the epidemic here. That is the epidemic. A man the other day found somewhere in the US 3.4K videos of child porn on his laptop. Arrested, convicted. 3.4K videos of child porn. Just think of that. 3.4K on his laptop. And some of these, 3-year-olds, probably 5-year-olds, 2-year-olds, some of these guys probably interested in babies. But we're supposed to help these guys and say that they've got a mental illness and facilitate them. No, we need to sort out this mother system because it is rigged, and it is full of pedos and pedo sympathizers, and we're not doing enough to rid the corruption. If there wasn't so much corruption, we'd be able to deal with it a lot better, and a lot more people would face justice. Okay, we do not need to be encouraging them. Okay, I don't know how much that lady was paid to do that video, but it's poppycock. It's poppycock, and what we've seen over hundreds of years. They've been trying to normalise this, calling it. They've been gearing up, gearing up. We're hearing words like orientation, mental disease. What happens to murderers when they kill somebody? They get locked up. Same thing should happen for them. They shouldn't be going through and having depression is a mental illness. Okay, depression that's a valid mental illness, yeah? Okay, and most murderers are evil SOBs, and most pedos are evil SOBs. Okay, and we should be doing more to protect our kids, more, not enough being done. We have so many trafficking rings, so many elitists involved in this, profiting off it.